We got a new video today. It's not really that new, but I have also seen it before. It is the Jake Paul versus Ben Askren press conference. I found this press conference extremely entertaining, and I hope you do too. So I'm just going to go through it, react. And I think it's like a 2.5 hour press conference, and we're just going to skip all of that junk and go straight to the Jake Paul versus Ben Askren showdown.
Jake, I'll start with you. You've kind of indicated that at the end of the day, your boxing skills you feel are better, and that ultimately that's the difference.
No, 100%. I mean, this guy's striking is that of a grandma. Quite literally, if I put a grandma in against Jorge Masvidal.
See, that's just typical bully behavior, also. So he was just asked a genuine question, and Jake just all of a sudden responds with an attack towards his opponent for no reason. He doesn't have to, but in his head, that's the first thing that he's going to want to do is just attack his opponent and try to harm them mentally before he tries to harm them physically in the ring.
She would have lasted longer than this guy. Um, you know, he's a good athlete, they say, but April 17th, he's going to get exposed. You know, we saw Steve Cunningham earlier going up against Frank Mir, and it's a boxer versus an MMA guy. I love Frank Mir, but at the end of the day, Steve's gonna take care of business. Then later on in the night, same thing's gonna happen. This is boxing versus MMA, and you're gonna see the difference. You're gonna see the difference of a wannabe fighter, you know, a guy who choked in the Olympics, a guy who choked in the UFC, and now a guy who's gonna choke against Jake Paul.
And this is where I agree and I completely disagree with this boner of a person because how can you not call Ben Askren an athlete? The guy would murder you if he wanted to, like in an actual fight. And I know I'm saying that boxing isn't real fighting, but compared to MMA, boxing is completely different. If you're in a real world situation, you're out on the street and you want to fight someone, and it's completely raw, unfiltered, uncut. Jake Paul's going to get the shit kicked out of him by this guy. It's just how it is. I mean, this guy's a world class athlete. So to say that he's not a fighter, I mean, it's ridiculous. But that's just Jake's ego, of course.
Ben, you indicate that the difference is not about the skill, it's about the toughness.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd heard of Jake Paul prior to accepting this fight, but I couldn't have told you a lot about him or his brother. I knew, he kind of came up in his brother's shadow. He was trying to fill his brother's footsteps. You know, his brother is a lot more talented, has a larger following. Those type of things.
You literally went on your Instagram and asked people for roast. You asked people for roast on your Instagram, and that was the top comment was say that his brother's.
I really like how Jake is already reacting to what Ben Askren is saying because you know that you're getting into this bully's head already, which is kind of funny. As soon as he said Jake or Logan Paul's little brother, Jake just kind of in his mind is like, "Ah, ah, don't do that. Please stop." You can just see it. He just reacts immediately to that. So Ben is already getting into this guy's head.
Better than him.
Is he?
That's like calling Kylie Jenner Kendall Jenner. Like
I don't know anything about them.
anyway, so like, doesn't matter. Still a compliment.
Okay.
I would love to be Logan. Logan's a great kid. Both stars, both taking over the world at a young age.
Okay, so when Logan's little brother called me out, I thought about it. Like
You actually called me out.
He's just reacting again. As soon as he said that, he's just reacting again to it. The exact same thing happened.
Let's get
If I
tired. If I wanted
sitting
to
on
pick
the
the
couch.
easiest guy, I would have picked Dylan Dennis.
Well, we know
Dylan
Dennis
was too
said
scared
no.
to sign
We know.
the contract.
I agree.
You actually had the balls to sign the contract. So if I wanted the easiest guy, I would have picked Dylan.
Jake, you did pick Dylan. We know that. I've already went over that. You picked Dylan. I know he wouldn't do it.
But you just said I picked you.
Because Dylan wouldn't say yes, dum-dum.
You
I tried
choking
to
on your
explain
words,
this to
Bubba?
you.
You
picked
choking
Dylan.
on your words, Bubba?
Again, typical bully behavior. He knows he's in the wrong. Sorry, I'm talking about Jake now. He knows he's in the wrong. He doesn't have a valid response because Ben is just being calm and collect and just giving a clear answer. So Jake's ultimate input is doing some childish response. So it's just a huge personality difference between the two. But I do completely, I don't completely agree, but I do very much agree with Jake saying that boxing is completely different than MMA. like I said, in a real world situation, Jake would get absolutely murdered by this guy. But it's a boxing ring, so you can't tackle or grapple or whatever that you can do in MMA. You can't do that. It's not the same thing in boxing. It's all about the punches and the strikes. Um, so maybe he does have a chance, but right off the bat, at least mental wise, toughness wise, uh, Ben is already absolutely destroying this guy.
You pick Dylan. Dylan wants on the contract. Therefore, you can't fight Dylan, so you have to pick the next person. Okay?
But
now,
you said
let
I
me
picked you
continue.
first. You said if I wanted the easiest person, it would have been Dylan. But you're saying I picked you as the
Because
easiest person.
Dylan wants on a contract.
He's doing it again. It's the same. He always repeats his his responses, his like childish responses. If he doesn't have like a meaningful thing to say that actually makes sense, he'll go to like word vomiting or trying to make fun of Ben in some random way because he doesn't have a valid response back, because Ben is clearly giving an explanation that makes sense to Jake, and Jake just like, oh, okay, well, I can't just accept this, I have to be a dick.
Well, I'm trying to wait for you to stop talking. Okay. So, anyways, like this is typical bully behavior, but obviously sometimes the
This is the
bully
fucking
picks the
fight
wrong
game.
person.
This is the fucking fight game. You pussy ass bitch. This is the fucking fight game. Yeah, I'll bully you around just like I'm gonna bully you in the ring. Shut the fuck up. You sound like a middle schooler. Oh, he's bullying me. Shut the fuck up.
Now, I was talking to your mentality. You're not gonna bully me.
I know I seem very, very biased right now towards Ben. That's purely because I'm really enjoying Ben's mannerisms compared to Jake's. Jake's is extremely childish. I mean, look at his face. We're on pause at the moment. He just looks like a moron. Okay, they both do. I didn't see the Ben's half eyes closed, but he Ben is just extremely calm and collect. And the fact that Jake is saying this is the real world, this is the real fighters dojo. Look at Ben's ears. I mean, that's a pure example of a guy that's been through the ring a few times. So I don't know where Jake is just trying to just say a lot of things to boost himself up at this point, basically.
Me. That's not gonna happen. And like Jake, if you and I ran into each other in the back alley in Las Vegas, and I wanted to do a homicide,
Do it right now then. We're running into each other right now. Come on.
someone's gonna stop you. You got like 27 people.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Okay.
Big
so,
man.
anyways, I would do a homicide on you if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Again, he just gets up, he puts his mic down, he knows nothing is going to happen. He's just boosting himself up to make himself feel much bigger than what he actually is. If anything were to happen, he would have like 15 guards come and like just pick him up and put him away. So he knows he can just get up and do that. And it's also why Ben is just sitting so calm and collectively in his chair as well. He hasn't moved at all. I mean, the guy's completely stone cold right now, just giving it how it is. And Jake is having a hard time handling that, I think. I don't think Jake is used to somebody so mentally tough that he's not reacting how Jake normally assumes they'll react to his banter or whatever you want to call it.
No. Here's what actually happened is actually after my Nate Robinson fight, there was probably 70 people calling me out, wanting to fight me. And there was probably 6 people that it made sense to fight. Bisbing, McGregor, Diaz, Dennis, Askren, some YouTubers who are popular. But I wanted to fight a real MMA fighter. When it came to signing the contract, a lot of them didn't want to do it. And
That's just weird. And again, I know I'm completely biased towards Ben, but it's just because of how Jake talks. It doesn't make any sense. He's talking shit to Ben Askren, saying how he's an MMA fighter. He's not a boxer. This is a completely different ring. So you're not going to be able to do anything, right? But then his word, what he literally just said is he wanted to find a real MMA fighter. He wanted to find someone that could really fight in the ring as an MMA fighter. Why are you talking crap about MMA fighters in the ring? And then you're saying you specifically wanted to find an MMA fighter, not a boxer. Why not fight a pro boxer instead of a pro MMA guy? It's because Jake also knows that this is completely different than a pro boxer, but he'll never admit it, of course. So
Is this a serious competition to you, or is this a fun exhibition?
I mean, I'm gonna take it serious, but the highest level of competition, no, not even close. Yeah, I'm gonna have fun with this. That's what I came for. Jake thinks he's a high-level boxer. I think he's fairly delusional. I guess we'll find out.
You will find out very quickly and in a violent fashion, and you will embarrass the sport of MMA. You are representing the UFC. This is personal. You know, the whole MMA community.
You're trying to make me represent the sport of
No,
MMA
you are
or
representing
UFC.
the sport. Dana White is betting money on you. He's trying to get trainers to actually help you train so that you can beat me. So you are representing the sport of MMA. You are an MMA fighter. Just like I'm representing the sport of boxing because I'm a boxer. Just like I'm representing celebrities and YouTubers because I'm a celebrity and a YouTuber. So I'm representing all of those things. So
And on the plus side, Jake is representing all celebrities and all YouTubers in this, which I guess UFC fighters and MMA fighters are not celebrities. So Ben is not defending those. Only the MMA fighters, which Jake specifically tried to call out, but then is now talking shit about. So that's a bit strange. But I guess the real question is Ben Askren actually representing MMA? My answer is no, because why would MMA represent boxing? If the root cause of that, it doesn't make any sense. Why? Who cares? That's like saying Nate Robinson, who Jake knocked out previously, is representing basketball. How does that make any sense in the boxing ring? It's like asking a fish to climb a tree. It doesn't it doesn't work like that. But everyone is putting money on Ben Askren and putting the pressure on him that he's representing MMA. So maybe in that regard, sure, all the pressure from the MMA community is making it him possibly feel like, or at least the general vibe is that he's representing MMA. But I personally don't believe he is. I don't understand where that's coming from. I think at the moment Ben is almost an easy target because he's known for getting KO'd in like 5 seconds. But that doesn't, just because he's an easy target doesn't make it true that he's representing a specific community. I think the guy is just trying to fight Jake Paul because it's going to give him a lot of credit. It's going to give him a lot of popularity as well. So I think it's a very smart move on his part, but I simply don't believe he's representing MMA whatsoever.
you are representing them, and you will see boxing conquer.
All right, let's go out for another question.
Hey, Jake, it's the Schmo. Good to see you. Quick question for you. If you get through...
I'm sorry if I'm on the loop, but who the fuck is this guy? What the hell happened? It looks like some 22nd century clone of something.
Ben Askren, do you think that's the key to getting the attention of Dana White and maybe getting a Conor McGregor fighter? Who would be next on your list if you get through Ben Askren?
Shmo, my guy, good to see you. I don't have to do anything to get the attention.
Shmo, my guy.
They have to get the attention of me at this point. They're talking about me more than I'm talking about them. He's one of the first fighters on the list. Yeah, he's the first MMA fighter that will be taken down. I think this will make the Jake Paul versus Conor.
Why? Why does he keep going back to MMA? He talks shit about MMA and then says he wants to fight MMA fighters in boxing. It makes absolutely no sense. I don't understand his logic. I think that his only end goal is to beat Conor McGregor, and he wants to say that if he beats Conor McGregor, hypothetically, that, yeah, I beat the best of MMA in boxing, which, again, it doesn't give you very much. I know Conor McGregor is also a much better striker than Ben Askren, but it's still not a pro boxer. I think Conor McGregor could fight a pro boxer that isn't Floyd Mayweather, is half as good as Floyd Mayweather, and still lose because it's just a completely different sport. That's just realism. I mean, come on. So it sounds like what he's going to do is never fight a pro boxer because he knows he'll get his shit kicked in.
Now for you, Ben, on the other side of the coin, if you get through Jake Paul, what's next in your boxing career? Do you go for the big brother Logan Paul?
Sorry, that guy. I can't get over this guy. Where is he? It looks like if you swam to the bottom of the ocean and you found Atlantis and you see and you see some dude swimming up, and this is the face that comes up. He looks like he represents he's the gatekeeper of Atlantis, like the greeter at Walmart's.
Boxing career. Do you go for the big brother Logan Paul?
Yeah, I mean, 2021 seems like a tremendous year to beat up the whole Paul family.
All right,
Good seeing you, Schmo.
let's go to another question from
That
the
was good.
press.
That was your first good joke of the press conference.
There it is. See, once again, bullying tactics is that Jake knows that what Ben is saying is very good, so he has to belittle him. That's the word I'm looking for, in order to make it seem like what Ben said isn't as good as what he said, even though it was a good joke. So he's very, very, very predictable in his personality and his behavior and his mannerisms. All in all, it's a very stereotypical bully behavior.
And people will see I really haven't even gotten to show my boxing ability in my last 2 fights because they've both been like 4 minutes total or like 7 minutes total. So, I'm actually excited to see if Ben's going to give me a little bit of a test, a little bit of a challenge, because then people will see, oh, shit, this kid can do that. Oh, he has this in his arsenal. Oh, he's been working on that. I haven't even shown the world what I could do. This is why this is fun, because I have the ace up my sleeve. And when you have the ace up your sleeve in life,
Hey, I was
it's
wondering,
an exciting
your
thing.
cheerleaders that you brought to
Before they get into that, I do agree that this is a good stepping stone for Jake Paul if he is taking this extremely seriously, because he's gone from some crap YouTube fighter, which is basically on a ranking of 1 to 10 is probably a 1 or 2 in terms of boxing, to Nate Robinson, who is not a boxer either, so it's probably but he's more of an athlete, so maybe a 2 to 3, and then Ben Askren, who might be like a 4 to 5. So it's like little steps that he is taking, which I understand. So it is a smart move. I would say it's a good way for Jake to prove himself that he can step a little bit closer into pro boxing. Even though he's technically a pro boxer at the moment, I don't agree with that in terms of his skill level. But this will give him that extra step if he does win. I don't think he will, but I actually, I take that back. I don't know. I don't know if he'll win, but it's tough. I think it'll be around 50-50.
my room. Like, do you pay them as coaches or groupies, or do you just give them like sloppy seconds and social media shout-outs?
Yeah, I give them a ton of dry over the pants hand jobs. Maybe say your joke again, and we can all remember to laugh. Say it one more time. We can just all laugh after.
He really likes to project, and when he doesn't know how to respond to something that is logical or funny from his opponents, he will just say something to make the situation for his opponent as awkward as possible. If you've ever been in that situation where someone's trying to piss you off and you try to make fun of them, and then they respond with, "Oh, could you say that again? I didn't hear you. Could you say that a little bit louder for me, please, so that everyone can hear?" And you're in a group with multiple people, right? So why don't you say that a little bit more? It makes the situation very awkward, and it will definitely piss the other person off. So it's a good tactic, and it definitely works. But Ben's a very mentally strong guy. He just takes that and just doesn't give a shit. So even I would be annoyed if I heard that, because I would just get pissed off. So Ben's strong mentally.
So you feel good about yourself.
Question for Jake. Jake, considering Ben's combat sports background, are you expecting a quantum leap in the level of competition that you faced thus far?
No. I think he'll be easier to beat than Nate Robinson.
I don't know what to even say about that. I don't know where he's just delusional. How is Nate Robinson a better fighter than Ben Askren in any way? Even the mediator's like, what the fuck? Are you stupid?
Hey, it's
What do
your
you think
dad
it is
calling
about
in.
yourself that's made it successful?
It's your dad calling in.
Context is, so the guy that now Jake has on the phone is the guy that knocked out Ben in 5 seconds or whatever.
Look,
Is he still alive?
he's still alive, bro. I'm about to take him out. Hey, he's still alive. Don't worry, I'm gonna finish him off. Yeah, don't worry. Does that bother you, by the way, that you got knocked out in 5 seconds?
it happens.
It doesn't bother you?
Not really.
It doesn't really happen, by the way. That's only happened once.
I got a record.
You literally have the record.
I
Yeah.
literally have the record,
You
yeah.
hold the record.
The record.
Yeah. 5 seconds.
Yes.
This isn't. It doesn't like haunt you at all. That like
It
you're
does not
probably the
bother
most
me, Jake.
embarrassing fighter in UFC history.
And it's so obvious that Jake keeps going. He keeps just repeating words. He's just word vomiting because he's hoping to get a better reaction out of Ben to make himself feel more confident that he's in Ben's head. It just doesn't happen. It's hilarious. And I got to admit, it was a good power move to actually bring the guy on that beat the shit out of Ben in 5 seconds and to bring him onto the phone and share that. But it's just not working at all. Ben's just like, yeah, I got a record. I'm chill. I'm good. Doesn't bother me.
Jake, I know you have low self-esteem, but you don't need to project it onto me.
This clip.
See, he tries to shrug it off immediately. And I know you could say, oh, well, now they're just talking back and forth to each other. It's completely normal. I don't think so. I think Ben has kept the same exact pose the whole time. Jake is fidgeting around, looking at his phone, which is technically a distraction from looking at Ben. Because I don't think that Jake could look Ben in the eyes and give a response. I think he needs to have some sort of deflection device or medium to help him out in this situation, and that's what he goes to. And it seems like Jake is winning this argument at the moment. I completely disagree.
Is there any interest in still fighting KSI, or have you outgrown him and you're just over that?
Yeah, definitely outgrown him. There's interest. I think that's a fight that everyone wants to see, but at this point, it just wouldn't even be close. And I think, once he sees what I do to Ben, yeah, he's not gonna want to fight. And yeah, like even his coaches say it. They're like, hey, we're not letting KSI fight this kid right now. So his coaches know. His coaches know what will happen. KSI's ducking. And at the end of the day, it's like there's a lot bigger fights out there than JJ. So
I think that's a very, very important thing to consider because in Jake's head, there's a lot on the line for him as well. It's not Ben, who everyone is saying has the reputation of MMA on the line. That you can scoff that off. For Jake, actually, if you don't beat Ben, who you've been talking crap about, this guy that is not known as being the best in the MMA world and not known for his striking abilities, so it's a slight step up. Not a huge step, but a slight step up from Nate Robinson in terms of punching and striking, right? If he doesn't win that, he kind of takes a step back, which he then goes back into the YouTube space of only fighting YouTubers and not real fighters. So I think there's a lot more on the line for Jake than for Ben. And I also feel like Jake at the moment realizes that and knows exactly why he needs to win this fight, hands down.
Do you appreciate that Ben is willing to do the work to promote the fight, unlike maybe probably any of your opponents before? And Ben, are you enjoying that aspect of it?
I do actually appreciate it, and I part of me likes Ben, a part of me thinks he's funny. I'll give him that, and even his wife, like I was seeing her post stuff on Instagram, like she's funny. So I give him credit. And yeah, I think this fight has the most amount of hype going into it. He actually is putting out content and making some noise and talking some shit. So yeah, I do give credit to Ben there, and that's part of the reason we picked him is we knew there was going to be shit talk going into it.
I 100% agree with Jake on this. Ben has been promoting himself a lot, but for good reasons. This is the ultimate opportunity for someone that has a current reputation of being kind of a joke in a certain area because you get knocked out in a way that nobody has before, right? So promote yourself as much as possible, soak in as much of this popularity as you can. And the icing on the cake would, of course, be knocking out Jake because that eliminates any of that history that you've had within the last couple of years or since that fight you had where you got knocked out, because this will replace that 100%. So maybe, now that I think about it, it might be that Ben doesn't think that he's representing MMA, but he's kind of representing his own identity in this. Because if he loses to both, if he has that issue or that historical event of being knocked out right away, which obviously he's saying at the moment doesn't bother me. It happens. I'm sure he's kind of convinced himself, but I'm sure he's also suppressed a bit of that emotion as well. So that's probably riding on the back of his head. And at the second time, if you then lose to Jake Paul, who is technically in the fighter's world a joke, right? And if you lose to him as well, what does that do to a person's mentality and emotion? I think that really kind of kind of fucks with your head. So I think that that's probably the main thing that he's worried about is his own identity that he has at risk in terms of as a fighter, and that's what he's done his whole life. So he doesn't. He probably doesn't care about the MMA world. He cares more about himself within the fighting world. I hope that made sense.
You know, one of the things I appreciated about him earlier, I said it, is that, and you know his brother too, like they have somehow convinced their fans that they're real fighters. It's tremendous. It's, you know, it takes an act, it takes a show. He's done that. He says, pulling the fire truck, me and rice and chicken and shit like that. Like, I'm in this for life. That's tremendous. Appreciate that, Jake.
Suck a dick.
I really like that interaction right there, both from Jake and from Ben. I know Jake's was a much more simple, quick response, but it was also just, I thought that was the perfect response to what Ben just said. One thing I wanted to watch actually was the, what is it, like the weigh-in or whatever, when Ben also shoves Jake. So I just want to show that because that also shows a lot of how this press conference is played out and what the different mental states are between Ben, who's completely calm, relaxed, and just doesn't take Jake seriously, and Jake, who doesn't know how to react in certain situations. All right, here we have the face-off from Jake Paul versus Ben Askren press conference, where they kind of do their little debut thing just to have a good photo op. You can see they have the barrier in between, so it's COVID safe, even though there's already a little bit of a scuffle going on. You can see, look, Ben has his hand in his pocket. He doesn't really care. Jake's pointing, getting pissed off, shoving him away, everything like that.
Go real face to face. Go real face to face. Come on. Come on. Come on. Get out here, bro. We're not doing this plexiglass. Come on, bro.
You see Ben Askren just taking the whole thing kind of as a joke, where Jake is taking it very seriously, getting mad, trying to pump himself up and show that he's so much stronger and better than Ben Askren. Let me prove it by not having this plastic screen in between us.
Like a man. Come on, bro. Let's go!
It's just Jake just doesn't get the reaction that he hopes for at all in any of this situation.
The champ is here, baby. The champ is here, baby.
a little. So you can see that Ben just kind of just like shoves his face, which obviously you would normally react in some sort of way if someone puts the hand to the face and just shoves him, right? But look at how weak this. It's such a weird reaction by Jake. The push, and then, whoa, man. Okay, so knocks him away in some way, completely fine. And then what? What was that? So weak. And then shoves him.
Don't fucking touch me, bitch.
It replays it. In summary, and in my personal opinion, I think Ben Askren is definitely, I don't know if he's going to win. I think that's still 50-50. But in terms of how the buildup is at the moment, Ben is winning by far because Jake is very, very, very predictable in his behavior and his reactions, and he just doesn't know how to retaliate to certain situations. So when Ben puts him into a challenging situation, Jake does the exact same thing you would expect him to do. And maybe it's the same thing for Ben, but it clearly just seems like Ben has absolutely no reaction at all to anything that Jake is doing. So I think Ben is winning this mental battle at the moment, and I think that's going to play a part into either boosting Jake into being more pissed off and wanting to fight harder, or it's going to get into his head. I don't know how it's going to play out, and obviously that's always how fights are. You never know how it's actually going to happen until they get into the ring. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll just keep going and doing reactions as much as I can. I love reacting to also the more mainstream stuff as well on YouTube, so I might throw some more into those, but it's going to be a mixed bag. So appreciate you watching. Have a great day, and adios.